Frank Alvarez was not your average concertgoer. At 60 years old, he brought a unique flair to the crowd with his tan fedora perched jauntily on his head and the suspenders holding up his colorful shirt. The lively concert setting buzzed with excitement, filled with fans eagerly cheering for the legendary Elvis. As lights flashed and music pulsed through the air, Frank's heart raced, not just from the rhythm of the show but from the thrill of sharing this moment with his beloved wife, who sat beside him. The energy in the arena was electric. People laughed, danced, and sang along to every note Elvis belted out. Frank found himself lost in the music, occasionally glancing at his wife and smiling as she tapped her feet to the beat. Their shared love for Elvis had brought them closer over the years, and tonight felt special. However, beneath all that joy lay an unexpected twist that would soon change everything. Just as Elvis began one of his most famous songs, Frank noticed a sudden shift beside him. His wife swayed slightly before collapsing in her seat. Panic washed over Frank like a tidal wave. The world around him blurred as he shouted her name in desperation. "Help! Somebody help!" His voice echoed through the rows of fans who were caught off guard by the alarming scene unfolding before them. Excited cheers turned into confused murmurs, and one by one, heads turned to see what was happening in the 12th row. As concern spread like wildfire through the audience, it became clear that this concert was about to take a dramatic turn from entertainment to urgency. A call for help had just transformed a night of celebration into a moment where lives hung in balance. The concert was a dazzling spectacle, a vibrant celebration of music and joy. Bright lights danced across the stage, illuminating Elvis as he moved with charisma and energy that captivated every eye in the arena. The air was thick with excitement, as the crowd erupted into cheers and applause, their spirits soaring with each note he sang. Fans waved their hands in the air, clapping along to the rhythm, while others swayed to the familiar melodies that had become timeless classics. The energy was infectious. Even those seated were on their feet, singing along at the top of their lungs, creating a sea of voices that blended harmoniously with Elvis's powerful vocals. Colorful banners waved, and laughter echoed throughout the venue, transforming it into a lively community of music lovers united by their admiration for the king of rock and roll. Frank watched all this with delight, his heart full as he caught glimpses of his wife beaming beside him. Her eyes sparkled with joy as she sang along, completely immersed in the moment. Their laughter mingled with the sounds of the crowd, wrapping them in a bubble of happiness that seemed unbreakable. It felt like one of those magical nights where anything could happen, and everyone was there to share in something special. But just as Elvis prepared to launch into one of his most beloved songs, an unexpected stillness crept over the crowd. The lights twinkled above like stars in a clear night sky, but beneath that glittering facade lay an undercurrent of tension that no one could foresee. The joyful mood began to shift subtly, a sense of vulnerability lingered in the air, hinting that not everything would go according to plan. Moments later, chaos would break through this festive atmosphere like a thunderclap on a sunny day. The atmosphere changed in an instant. Just as Elvis struck the opening chords of his next song, Frank's wife swayed in her seat, her face losing color. Frank's heart dropped when he saw her eyes roll back, and before he could even process what was happening, she slumped forward unconscious. Time seemed to freeze for a moment as silence fell over the row. Then, panic surged through Frank like a shockwave. "Help! Somebody help!" he yelled, his voice cracking with fear. His hands gripped the armrests tightly as he struggled to comprehend the scene unfolding before him. The once jubilant cheers of the crowd transformed into gasps and murmurs, eyes wide with concern. Frank's heart raced as he felt the weight of their stares. It was as if the entire arena shifted its focus onto him and his wife. He stood up, trying to catch the attention of those around him, waving his arms frantically like a lifeguard signaling for assistance. A few people turned to him, confusion etched on their faces as they tried to discern what was happening. The joyous concert atmosphere faded away, replaced by an undercurrent of tension and urgency. As more heads turned in his direction, Frank felt a surge of desperation. "Please! She needs help!" His voice echoed through the rows, bouncing off the walls of the venue. He could see other fans beginning to stand, some looking for security or medics, while others tried to comfort him with reassuring words. In that moment of chaos, Elvis noticed the commotion from the stage. Dropping his microphone mid-performance, he quickly assessed the situation unfolding in the crowd, a hero in the making amid a scene that had flipped from celebration to crisis in mere seconds. As Frank's desperate cries echoed through the arena, a wave of shock rippled through the audience. Gasps filled the air, sharp and sudden, as fans began to grasp the severity of the situation. Laughter and cheers faded quickly, replaced by whispers that danced nervously among the rows. "What happened?" and "Is she okay?" floated through the crowd, punctuated by worried expressions on every face. Eyes darted toward Frank and his wife, curiosity mixed with fear. Some concertgoers instinctively leaned forward in their seats while others stood up, scanning the scene like detectives piecing together a mystery. The vibrant atmosphere that had enveloped them just moments ago morphed into an eerie silence, thickening with anxiety. It was as if the music had been turned down, leaving only the sound of subdued conversations and frantic heartbeats. People shifted uneasily in their seats, some clutching their phones, ready to call for help if needed. Others leaned over to offer words of comfort, yet it was clear that uncertainty hung in the air like a dark cloud. The excitement that had filled the arena now felt distant and surreal. A few brave souls began to move closer, trying to see what they could do to help, but the chaos made navigation difficult. As more fans became aware of the emergency, a collective sense of dread settled over the crowd. Fear spread like wildfire. Parents hugged their children tighter, and friends exchanged anxious glances. In this moment of crisis, each heartbeat seemed amplified against the backdrop of Elvis's paused performance. The once happy concert had turned into a scene of uncertainty and concern, highlighting how quickly joy can transform into panic when faced with an unexpected emergency. From the stage, Elvis noticed the commotion erupting in the crowd. For a moment he paused, caught off guard by the sudden shift in energy. The cheers and claps had morphed into anxious whispers, and he felt an instinctual pull to understand what was happening. With a swift glance toward Frank, who was visibly distressed, Elvis's heart raced. Without hesitation, he dropped his microphone to the floor, the sound echoing through the venue as it hit the stage. The decision to abandon his performance was instant. This was no longer just a concert, it had become a scene demanding immediate action. Elvis leaped into the audience, propelled by a sense of urgency that surged through him. As he made his way through the rows, fans parted like waves before him. Their expressions transformed from puzzled concern into admiration as they recognized their idol stepping away from the spotlight to help in a time of need. Elvis's focus remained sharp. He had one goal in mind: to reach Frank and provide assistance. Navigating through people seated close to the aisle, he called out to anyone who could hear him. "Make way! Medics are coming!" His voice rang out, clear and commanding amidst the rising anxiety in the air. He gestured for others to help clear a path so that emergency responders could reach Frank's wife without delay. Witnessing their beloved star prioritizing someone else's well-being over his performance inspired those around him. Fans began to assist Elvis by pushing back chairs and creating space for the medics. The atmosphere shifted once more, this time filling with hope as people rallied together under Elvis's leadership, determined to turn panic into action and support Frank during this critical moment. Elvis sprang into action, leaping off the stage with surprising agility for a man of his stature. The crowd parted instinctively, their eyes widening in disbelief as the king himself made his way through them. Elvis moved with purpose, weaving between surprised fans who were still processing the unfolding crisis. "Excuse me. Please make way," he urged, his voice steady and commanding despite the chaos around him. The urgency in his tone resonated with everyone present, and fans quickly shifted aside, creating a narrow path for him to navigate. Some reached out to touch him, momentarily starstruck before realizing the gravity of the situation. Elvis didn't stop to sign autographs or take pictures. His focus was solely on reaching Frank and his wife. As he pushed through the rows of seats, he called out to those nearby, urging them to help clear a larger space for the medical responders who would soon arrive. "Help me out here!" Let's get these seats cleared. He gestured toward the aisle, his determination inspiring those around him to take action. The atmosphere was electric yet tense as fans began to cooperate, moving chairs and standing up to provide a clear route. The energy shifted from shock to solidarity. They were no longer just spectators but participants in something bigger. Elvis's presence fueled their resolve, reminding them that they were all in this together. As he finally reached Frank, who was still in a state of panic, Elvis placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "We're going to get her help," he said firmly, his eyes filled with empathy. With Frank's eyes locked on him, Elvis turned back toward the path they had created, ready to guide the medics swiftly to where they were needed most. As Elvis urged the crowd to create a clear path, concertgoers sprang into action, showcasing an impressive display of teamwork amidst the chaos. Strangers who had been mere spectators moments before now united with a shared purpose, driven by the urgency of the situation. They moved quickly, some pushing back their chairs while others helped each other stand, all focused on assisting in any way they could. "Let's get these seats out of the way," shouted one man, rallying those nearby as he pulled his chair aside. A woman next to him joined in, her voice rising above the confusion. "Make room! We need to help!" The crowd responded enthusiastically, and soon an organized movement unfolded as fans worked together to forge a pathway for the medics. As more people grasped what was happening, they seemed to shed their previous concerns about missing Elvis's performance. The music faded into the background. All that mattered now was Frank's wife and ensuring she received the help she needed. Each person acted selflessly, embodying a spirit of community that highlighted the strength found in togetherness during adversity. Elvis watched this transformation unfold with pride. His call to action had ignited a fire within the audience, a collective determination that breathed life back into the atmosphere. People exchanged reassuring glances and nods of encouragement as they pushed forward through the rows. With every movement toward clearing space, an energy filled the air, one of hope and solidarity. Fans offered encouraging words to one another. "You've got this! Keep going!" It was as if they were no longer just individuals caught in a concert but rather a single entity fueled by compassion and urgency. As medics finally arrived on the scene, they were greeted not with chaos but with a clear route created by those inspired by Elvis's lead, a testament to how quickly strangers can become allies when faced with a common goal. Just as the crowd had forged a clear path, the medics arrived with impressive speed and professionalism. 2 emergency responders rushed in, their uniforms crisp and their expressions focused. The sound of their medical equipment clattering softly added an air of urgency to the already tense atmosphere. Without missing a beat, one medic quickly assessed the situation as he approached Frank's wife, who lay unconscious on the ground. He knelt down beside her, checking her pulse and breathing while speaking calmly to Frank. "We're here now. We're going to take care of her," he assured him, his voice steady and reassuring despite the chaos swirling around them. The second medic began gathering necessary supplies from a nearby first aid kit, expertly pulling out items like oxygen masks and monitoring equipment. With precise movements, he prepared to assist in stabilizing Frank's wife. As they worked, the crowd watched in silence, a mix of hope and anxiety hanging in the air as everyone held their breath. Elvis stood nearby, observing intently as the medics worked. He felt relief wash over him knowing that professionals were handling the situation. The medics communicated seamlessly with one another, their teamwork evident as they swiftly handled each step of their protocol. They used hand signals and brief exchanges to maintain focus on their patient without wasting precious time. While one medic continued to monitor her vitals, the other gently placed an oxygen mask over her face, ensuring she received proper care. Frank hovered anxiously nearby, his heart pounding but now accompanied by a glimmer of hope seeing the skilled professionals attend to his wife. As they prepared to transport her on a stretcher, there was an unspoken bond forming within the audience, a shared understanding of vulnerability and compassion. While concerns for Frank's wife were foremost in everyone's minds, the expertise of the medics shone brightly amid a moment that could have spiraled further into chaos. Their swift actions instilled confidence back into the crowd as they made room for the stretcher on its way out, turning a frightening experience back towards hope and healing. As Frank stood helplessly at the edge of the chaos, a whirlwind of emotion surged through him: fear, desperation, and overwhelming worry for his wife. His heart raced wildly in his chest, pounding like a drum as he watched her lie unconscious on the ground. The noise of the concert faded into the background, replaced by the deafening sound of his own thoughts spiraling out of control. "Is she going to be okay?" he wondered, panic tightening its grip around his throat. Each moment felt like an eternity, as he recalled memories of laughter and joy they had shared earlier that night, now overshadowed by uncertainty. The sight of her pale face sent jolts of dread through him. He felt utterly powerless to help her. But then, as the medics arrived and began their swift actions, a glimmer of hope sparked within him. He observed their professionalism and teamwork, their calmness cutting through the chaos that had engulfed the arena. Frank hung on to their every word as they assured him that they would take care of her. The medic's steady voice provided a lifeline amidst his emotional storm, a flicker of certainty amid fear. With each movement made towards his wife's care, Frank felt a shift within himself. Relief slowly washed over him like a gentle tide as he realized that help was finally here. He was no longer alone in this fight. Skilled professionals were by his side, taking charge while he could only watch. As they placed an oxygen mask over her face and prepared to transport her, Frank's heart began to ease. The oppressive weight of helplessness lightened, replaced by gratitude for those who had jumped into action without hesitation. While his worry still lingered, he found solace in knowing that help was on the way, a reassurance that made all the difference in a moment that had once felt so dark and uncertain. As the concert came to a close, the atmosphere shifted once more, morphing from a night of entertainment into a powerful testament to community spirit and heroism. What had begun as a celebration of music and joy transformed into a moment where strangers banded together in the face of crisis. The unity displayed during those tense moments served as a reminder that even in times of panic, compassion could prevail. Elvis, who had always been viewed as a rock star, emerged that night as something even greater, a figure of empathy and leadership. By selflessly leaping into the crowd to assist Frank and his wife, he demonstrated that true strength lies not only in talent but also in humanity. His quick actions inspired those around him to respond right away, showing that celebrity isn't solely defined by fame. It is also about influence and responsibility toward others. The crowd, once filled with worry and fear, became infused with hope and determination. As medics attended to Frank's wife, concertgoers shared knowing glances and nods of encouragement. In that arena, people formed an unspoken bond, united by the shared experience of helping someone in need. They proved that they were not just passive observers. They were active participants in the well-being of others, driven by a collective sense of responsibility. As the medics carried Frank's wife away on a stretcher, applause reverberated through the arena, not just for Elvis but for everyone who had stepped forward to help. That night, the power of community shone through, illustrating that even in the most unexpected of circumstances, kindness can shine brightly. It was a poignant reminder of the strength found in solidarity and the profound impact individuals can make when they come together for a common cause, redefining what it means to be part of a community.